So hello and welcome back to the channel, and Newcastle are going to win the Champions League. Okay, probably not, but we need to talk about them. I mean, what they're doing under this new ownership is nothing short of fantastic, and you've run out of words to describe this Newcastle team. And it's all down to Eddie Howe. Simple as that, really. I mean, yes, you can look at the owners and say, well, they've got all this money, they've been taken over, they're a super team now, but even though they got taken over whilst they were in the relegation zone with 0 wins, and no one wanted to join them. They fired Steve Bruce, and they tried to get the likes of Unai Emery, who, whilst at Villarreal, he looked at the Newcastle job and pretty much just laughed at it. And Eddie Howe was probably near the bottom of managers they actually wanted, but he was the only one who believed in the project and said yes to it. But my God, did this gamble pay off. I mean, he was the best available manager at the time, and yes, of course you can say that with hindsight, but the way he's always been able to develop players and sort of create a team unity is something that is perfect for Newcastle and perfect for the fan base. I mean, you look at the likes of Miggy Almiron, Sean Longstaff, you knew there was something in there. I mean, Miggy was electric in the MLS, and Sean Longstaff was getting linked to Man United for 50 million. There was clearly something in these types of players, but the biggest example has to be Joelinton. I mean, he looked at a guy who was brought in to be Newcastle's brand new number 9, their top goal scorer, and looked at him and went, well, you can't do that. Let's put you in midfield and make you one of the best box-to-box midfielders, a bit like a Patrick Vieira in the Premier League. Who else would have done that? He's also smashed the recruitment, and it might not just be him, there might be others there as well, but Newcastle as a whole have smashed the recruitment policy. They've got everyone perfect at the time of buying them. I mean, there are 4 signings in the January transfer window of the first period. They were perfect. You've got Steady Eddie Matt Targett, who was brought in on loan from Aston Villa, where he wasn't even playing. You've got Bruno Guimaraes, the superstar that they needed to attract there. The best signing, in my opinion, in Kieran Trippier, who is the best player at the club and the best right back in the world. And then they got Chris Wood as well, who they poached from Burnley, their relegation rivals. 4 brilliant pieces of business. And Big Dan Burn as well. I thought he signed in the summer, please don't kill me. But then you look at that summer and they got an England international, Nick Pope, who is as solid as they come and a smart piece of business at the time. You then have the Swedish superstar in Isak signing as well. Then you've got Botman, a real superstar centre-back, and Matt Targett on a permanent, which, smart piece of business no matter how you look at it. And then last January, you'd think they'd maybe go a bit mental, go for the Champions League a bit more, go for the cup run. They played it quite safe, and they got £45 million Anthony Gordon, who, it is what it is on that one. And then they got Ashby as well, a young, promising player from West Ham. Well, some people will then say, well, if they didn't sign all these players, they would have got the Champions League. You're probably right. But Eddie Howe developed the likes of Jacob Murphy, who's been superb. You've still got Miggy Almiron there. You've then got the likes of Longstaff, who I mentioned. Joe Willock, who has been superb. Joelinton, who has been another terrific buy. And the likes of Fabian Schär. There's Mike Ashley signing still within the squad, but they've just been developed and brought up to another level because of the signings brought in. That's the whole reason of the signings in the first place. You look at the recruitment as well, and the marquee signing, the main man, was Kieran Trippier. I mean, without him, a lot of the players do not come. But without him, they do not stay up. They would have gotten relegated. without his leadership and his quality on the ball. I said it earlier, I'll say it again, he's the best right back in the world. Not Walker, not Hakimi, not Trent, not Reece James, Kieran Trippier. He's got fantastic set-piece delivery, he's a fantastic set-piece taker, as well as that he has got the leadership that all of them lack, as well as that he's got the experience that all of them lack, and he uses his brain a lot more. He's a very clever player, and he knows how to get the best out of his teammates. He's the best. And probably the most surprising thing about this Newcastle team is they have the best defence in the league. I mean, Eddie Howe's known as an attacking coach. He likes the attacking, fast-paced football going forward, but he looked at Newcastle, he looked at where they were weakest, and they were leaking goals left, right and centre. This Newcastle defence is mean, horrible, nasty and difficult to play against, and they complement each other really well as well. They let other players in the team be free. Botman and Shaw are a dream partnership. I've talked Kieran Trippier up so much. And Dan Burn, who would have thought putting a big 6'7" fella who's not the quickest in the world at left back would work a charm? Who? I mean, I could honestly go on about the squad all day. The defence is amazing, the midfield has quality in it, and up top has goals. We've not even mentioned St Maximin, who I can't believe he's become a bench player now. The quality that man has. But when you've got the likes of Isak and Wilson in the goal scoring form that he's in, you're not going to play then. And Jacob Murphy, there's too many players to go on. So, how can they improve? Where do I see them going in the Champions League? I mean, it's very obvious. A load of teams always say that they want this, and it's always difficult to pull off. But they need quality and quantity. I mean, they've just got Champions League football for the first time in 20 years. And I see loads of people saying, what's the point of them getting Champions League football? They're not going to win it. What's the point in any team entering any competition then, if they're not the favourites or at least one of the top teams in it? The likes of Leicester winning the league, they were 5,000 to 1. What is the point of any Scottish team being in the Scottish Cup or the Scottish League Cup or even the league? None, because they're not going to win it. It's a stupid argument. You go there, you give it a go, and you enjoy it. And the Newcastle fans are the best fans in England. There's no ifs, ands or buts about it. They are the best. They have the best atmosphere, not you Liverpool fans. This is a proper atmosphere where the Geordies live and die to go to St James's. I mean, they deserve Champions League football. They are a fantastic bunch. So, who are the quality and quantity players that they need? Well, I know they love Dan Burn. He's from Blyth, of course, but they need a new left back. I think it should be Kieran Trippier. If you look at the last few games as well, the midfield, if there's an injury or two, is a bit of a problem. You've got 4 solid midfielders in there to take up 3 spots. And yes, when they're all fit, it might be a bit of a difficult choice between Bruno, Joelinton, Willock and Longstaff. But when one's gone, it makes it a lot easier to pick those 3. But if 2 are gone, it becomes a bit of an issue. That's when the likes of Elliot Anderson will get brought in. But I think they need grafters in there. They need the likes of Scott McTominay, I think. He's not a guaranteed starter, and I probably wouldn't even start him. But he's a brilliant sort of player they can use in there. And I also think they need a bit of a ball carrier. I would look at Conor Gallagher. I know a lot of Newcastle fans probably don't want that. I would look at Conor Gallagher. He's a grafter and he can get you up the pitch whilst giving you a bit of quality. Then if you're looking at the front line, it's probably the area where they've got the most strength and depth out of the whole squad. I mean, on the right hand side they've got Murphy and Almer on there. On the left hand side you've got St Maximin and Isak, and obviously in the middle Isak and Wilson as well. There's still one or two elements there. Yes, they're heavily linked with Maddison. Yes, I think they should get Maddison. And the likes of a Diaby or a Thuram, I think would be excellent additions as well, especially if you're going to lose someone like Saint-Maximin and maybe a Miguel Almiron as well. Now, if they get these players, or at least similar types of these players, as well as a backup right back for Kieran Trippier, I think they might get to the round of 16, group depending, in the Champions League. I think next season, Gary Neville highlighted it. I think there might be a bit of a drop-off, but that's only because of the European games. I still think they'll have a very strong squad. They'll be pushing for top 4. It'll be a struggle to see if they get it. Let's see what the recruitment's like. And they're going to have games on Wednesday nights as well. It's going to be tough, but if any team are going to pull off a brand new European adventure and do well in the league, maybe another cup run, another trip to Wembley, it's Newcastle. Now, what did you think of Newcastle's season just gone by? Who do you think they should sign? And how do you think they'll do in the Champions League and League next year? Thank you very much for watching. Please give a like, give a nice wee comment, give a subscribe, and share it around with everyone. It would really mean a lot. Thank you very much for watching, and see ya.